I discovered my husband of 19 years had a second bank account by complete accident. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't suspicious. I was simply trying to print a document from our home office when an email notification flashed across the computer screen. Monthly statement available. The sender was a bank I'd never heard him mention. At first, I thought it was spam. Then I saw his full name. Curiosity got the better of me. We had always shared everything. Or at least I thought we did. One password later, because my husband had used the same password for almost every account for years, I was staring at numbers that made my entire body go cold. The balance wasn't a few $1,000s. It wasn't even 50,000. It was over $1.8 million. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, because my brain refused to believe what my eyes were seeing.
19 years of hearing, we have to be careful with money.
19 years of postponing vacations. 19 years of driving old cars, skipping birthdays, wearing clothes, until they fell apart and telling our children we couldn't afford certain opportunities. And all along, he had almost $2 million hidden from me. That discovery didn't just destroy my marriage. It destroyed everything I thought I knew about my family. My name is Sarah, and for most of my life, I believed hard work solved everything. I worked 2 jobs while finishing college. After graduation, I became an accountant because I loved solving financial puzzles. Numbers made sense to me, people didn't always. When I met Daniel, he seemed different. He was charming, funny, ambitious, and incredibly attentive. He made me feel safe. During our first year together, he constantly talked about building a future. "We're a team," he'd say.
Everything we build together.
I believed every word. We married after 3 years of dating. Then our daughter Emma was born. 2 years later, our son Noah arrived. Life became busy. Bills piled up. Mortgage payments. School expenses. Medical costs. Daniel insisted on handling most of our investments.
"It'll save you stress,"
he'd tell me. "You already work enough." I appreciated that. Or at least I thought I did. Meanwhile, my parents adored Daniel more than they adored me. My younger sister Melissa was the golden child growing up. She never kept a job longer than 6 months. Every failed business idea somehow became my parents' emergency. When Melissa wanted a destination wedding, my parents emptied their retirement savings. When her husband quit working, they let them move into their house. When Melissa wanted a luxury SUV, they borrowed money to help. Whenever I questioned it, Mom always had the same answer. "Melissa needs us more." Apparently, responsible children get punished by being expected to survive alone. Irresponsible children get rewarded forever. Daniel agreed with my parents. "Don't be so hard on your sister." That sentence became another brick in the wall between us. Then came the years of constant sacrifice. Emma wanted to attend a science camp. Daniel said no. "We simply can't afford it." She cried herself to sleep. I cried in the bathroom where nobody could hear. Noah earned a spot on an elite baseball team. Registration fees were expensive. Again, Daniel refused. "Maybe next year." There was never a next year. Our washing machine broke. "We'll repair it ourselves." Our roof leaked. "It can wait." Every vacation became a weekend at my parents' cabin because hotels were supposedly beyond our budget. I picked up freelance accounting work every evening. Sometimes I slept only 4 hours. Daniel praised my dedication. "You always know how to pull us through." Looking back, I realize how carefully he manipulated that sentence. He wasn't thanking me. He was training me to keep sacrificing. About 8 months before I discovered the account, my mother called crying. Melissa and her husband had accumulated massive debt. Credit cards, personal loans, missed mortgage payments. Mom begged me to help.
"I know you've always been responsible."
I said, Mom, we don't have that kind of money. She became strangely angry. Then asked Daniel,
I already know what he'll say.
"You're selfish." Those words hurt more than they should have. Because deep down, I wondered if maybe she was right. Maybe I wasn't trying hard enough. When I asked Daniel that evening, he didn't disappoint. Absolutely not. They'll never learn. I actually agreed with him. Ironically, it was one of the few financial decisions we seemed united on. Or so I believed. Then came the request that nearly broke me. My father suffered a minor stroke. Recovery was expected, but medical bills started piling up. My parents gathered everyone for dinner. Melissa arrived wearing a designer handbag worth more than my monthly grocery budget. She complained about how expensive life had become. Then my mother turned toward me. "Sarah?" Her voice trembled dramatically.
We've decided the fair solution is for you to refinance your house and help cover your father's expenses.
I nearly dropped my fork. "What?" Melissa remained silent. Daniel stared at his plate. Dad wouldn't even look at me. Mom continued.
You've always been financially responsible.
I laughed in disbelief. "So your solution is for me to take on more debt while Melissa contributes nothing?" Melissa finally spoke. "We have children too." "So do I. We are struggling." I looked straight at her handbag.
Really?
My mother slammed her hand on the table. "Stop attacking your sister." Then she looked at Daniel. "Tell her." Instead of defending me, my husband nodded.
I think your mother has a point.
I felt the room spinning. "You think I should refinance our home?"
It might be the right thing to do.
"Our home? Our children's security?" He shrugged. "We'll figure it out." That drive home was silent. For the first time in 19 years, I wondered whether Daniel truly saw me as his partner. Or simply as someone who carried everyone else's burdens. The next morning, I found the second bank account. At first, I couldn't breathe. Then the accountant inside me took over. I printed statements, downloaded transaction histories, cross-referenced deposits. The account had existed for 17 years. 17?
That meant he'd opened it shortly after Emma was born.
Almost every annual bonus had been deposited there instead of our joint account. Investment profits. Inheritance money from his aunt. Tax refunds. Everything. He'd been secretly building a fortune while convincing me we were barely surviving. But then I noticed something even stranger. Monthly transfers. Large ones? Sometimes $10,000. Sometimes 20,000. Always sent to another account. The recipient's name wasn't Daniel. It belonged to a woman named Rachel. I stopped breathing again. "Rachel?" The name appeared hundreds of times. My hands shook so violently, I dropped the papers. Money can hide many secrets. Yes. Children. Entire second lives. I hired a private investigator the next day. It cost money I didn't really have. I no longer cared. 2 weeks later, the investigator called.
I have answers.
I drove to his office with my heart pounding. He handed me photographs. "Daniel." "Rachel?" "A teenage boy. A little girl. Family photos. Birthday parties. School events. Christmas mornings." The investigator quietly said, "Your husband has been supporting them for years." My ears rang. "No." "He rents them a house." He slid more documents across the table. "The children believe he's their father." I stared at the smiling faces until everything blurred. 19 years. 17 years of lies. The timing meant he had started another family shortly after ours. I thought nothing could hurt more than discovering the hidden fortune. I was wrong. There was one more envelope. I think you'll want to read this. Inside were property records. The house Rachel lived in wasn't rented. Daniel owned it outright. Paid in cash. I drove aimlessly for hours. I couldn't cry. The pain had become too enormous for tears. That evening, Daniel came home smiling. How was your day? I looked at him, really looked at him. At the man I'd loved for almost 2 decades. It was educational. He kissed my forehead.
I've got great news.
Oh,
My boss hinted at a promotion.
I almost laughed. More money to hide. More lies to tell. Instead, I smiled. That's wonderful. For the next month, I became the best actress of my life. I contacted the best divorce attorney I could find. I gathered every financial record, every tax return, every investment statement, every hidden transfer, every property document. Because I'm an accountant, tracing money wasn't difficult. What shocked my attorney was how much evidence I'd assembled. This is one of the most organized cases I've ever seen. I've had 19 years of practice balancing someone else's books. She smiled sadly. Not anymore. Then came the twist nobody expected. During discovery, Daniel's attorney accidentally disclosed documents they hadn't meant to include. Inside was a trust agreement. Guess whose names were listed as beneficiaries? Not Rachel. Not her children. My parents. Melissa. And Melissa's children. My attorney frowned. This doesn't make sense. It didn't. Until another document explained everything. Years earlier, Daniel and my parents had secretly agreed that if anything happened to him, the hidden assets would be managed by my father. Why? Because they believed I was too emotional to handle significant wealth. I read that sentence 5 times. Too emotional. The woman who worked 60-hour weeks, raised 2 children, balanced every budget, sacrificed every dream. Apparently, I was trustworthy enough to earn the money, just not worthy enough to know it existed. The betrayal suddenly became much bigger than a cheating husband. My own parents had known, maybe not everything, but enough to help hide it. Enough to encourage my sacrifices. Enough to ask me to refinance my home while they knew Daniel possessed millions. I confronted my mother privately. She broke within minutes.
We thought he was protecting the family.
What family? She couldn't answer.
He promised Melissa would always be taken care of.
I stared at her.
So that's what this was.
No.
All these years, you chose Melissa over me again.
She started crying.
I didn't know about the other woman. But you knew about the money.
Silence. That was my answer. The divorce hearing attracted attention because Daniel owned part of a successful consulting company. Financial details became public. Friends, neighbors, co-workers. Everyone learned the truth.
During mediation, Daniel actually had the nerve to say, I was protecting everyone.
I laughed for the first time in months. No. You were protecting yourself. He looked genuinely confused.
You never understood finances. My career is accounting. You always worried too much. I worried because you made sure I never knew the truth. The judge wasn't impressed by 17 years of hidden marital assets. Neither was the forensic accountant appointed by the court. Attempting to conceal property during divorce proceedings rarely ends well.
Daniel learned that the hard way. Rachel also discovered the truth during the proceedings. She hadn't known about me. She believed she was the only wife. The lies collapsed around everyone. She left him immediately. Suddenly, Daniel had no family standing beside him. Only attorneys sending invoices. The biggest moment came when the final judgment was announced. Because he'd intentionally hidden assets throughout the marriage, the court awarded me substantially more than I had expected, including ownership interests in investments he tried to conceal. When the numbers were finalized, I was financially secure for life. Daniel looked physically ill. He whispered, "Sarah, please."
I calmly answered, "We're not a team anymore."
Outside the courthouse, reporters asked questions. I ignored them. Then I noticed my parents waiting nearby. My mother rushed toward me. Made a mistake. Dad's eyes were filled with shame. Melissa stood behind them, unusually quiet. For once, nobody defended her. My father spoke softly. "I failed you." I waited. I kept believing responsible people could always survive one more sacrifice. I nodded. "That's exactly what you did." Mom reached for my hand.
I want another chance.
I stepped back. "You had 19 years. There are moments when forgiveness feels possible. This wasn't one of them." Months later, I sold the old house. Not because it reminded me of Daniel, because I wanted a fresh beginning. Emma received the education she'd always dreamed of. Noah finally joined the baseball academy he'd missed years earlier. I started my own financial consulting firm, specializing in helping spouses uncover hidden marital assets. Turns out I wasn't alone. Far from it. Women came to me carrying the same confusion I'd once felt. The same guilt. The same fear. I taught them to trust facts instead of excuses. Business grew faster than I imagined. One afternoon, almost 2 years later, I received an unexpected email. It was from Melissa. She'd apologized. Not because she wanted money. Because our parents had